If you're thinking about building a brand new home, here's a hard truth for you. Builders aren't going to just hand you the best possible deal. In fact, they're banking on you coming into this completely blind, pay the full price, and not even know about huge incentives that they may not exactly advertise to you. But that's where I come in, because today I'm gonna be giving you some insider secrets that builders don't want you to know, so it gives you the best possible deal without getting taken advantage of. What's up, guys? Anthony Esposito with eXp Realty, your local real estate expert right here in the Cleveland, Ohio area. And if you are planning on building, or you're buying existing, selling, relocating, I have people just like you reaching out to me every single week. You can contact me directly here or use one of the methods I have listed in the description below. So let's get into these insider secrets so you have the best possible deal when buying that new home. So first, I gotta cover some of these hidden costs that builders will not advertise to you, and it's not until you're knee deep before you find out exactly what these costs are. First and foremost, the list price is not the final price. That's actually wrong. Oftentimes, builders do inflate the upgrades like flooring, that includes carpet, your LVP, paint, fixtures, electrical, you name it. They're going to put an inflation on those prices, and sometimes they end up doing that to offset some of the discounts that they are advertising for. Another thing they don't advertise, especially the developments with the chain builders, when it says starting in the low 400s. They don't advertise until you're sitting down with them that the lot is extra. So if it's $400,000 starting price, you gotta pick your lot. Premium lots cost more. Lots with the gorgeous view are gonna be a premium lot. It's gonna cost more. And those can vary depending on the development. I've seen some to where it might only be a $30,000 lot. I've seen others where it's a $80,000, $100,000. It all varies. So that right there could potentially put you at $500,000 or that extra $100,000 without even doing anything to the house other than the smallest model with the basic options. And you also have to consider, what is the HOA? What is that cost gonna be? Is that going to be set in stone after you close, or is it going to go up in price? Or is it gonna start higher in price because there's less homes and then it's gonna come down? That's a question you need to find out. Is there any special assessments, especially for like if they gotta bring in a sewer line or a water line, whatever the case is? You have to ask that question as well. Because at the end of the day, you start throwing in all these upgrades, you start, building out your house. And if that starting price is at $400,000, you can quickly be up to $600,000, essentially in a blink of an eye. So with these builder incentives, in Northeast Ohio, at least with the builders in this area, yes, in order to get these incentives, you need to go through the lending company that builder is affiliated with. But it doesn't mean that that's the final thing, that's it. Pro tip for you, get a pre-approval from an outside source, a different mortgage lender that will give you a construction loan of some sort, because their rate may be less than what the builder's rate is. And you can use that as leverage to kind of help you out, especially with the interest rate, because sometimes the builder's affiliated partner with the lending company, they'll inflate the rate in order to offset those incentives and those discounts. So you may think you're getting a discount, but the lender is getting the money in return. So all they're doing is essentially manipulating the money from over here to over here to over here. It's kind of like that Foursquare that the car salesmen end up using, to where they manipulate multiple things in order for them to still come out on top and make money, but it seems like you're saving money when you're really not. So you can use that interest rate, especially if it's lower, to kind of leverage yourself and negotiate with the builder's lender, so then you can still get those incentives. Because at the end of the day, The builders, they have that ABA with those lenders or the lending company that they have. So they're essentially getting business, giving business. They have that partnership. So they're going to negotiate and kind of work around it to, get you to go with their lender is what they want to do. They want to bring in customers. Now, with these incentives, you want to end up placing them strategically. It might not just be like, hey, put $30,000 down on the house, call it good. You have upgrades that you can put them towards. You have rate buy downs, which rate buy downs are kind of like the driving force right now with the interest rates being as high as they are with those, upper sixes. Construction loans are typically higher to begin with. So you're probably looking low sevens, but it's gonna bounce all over the place. The rate buy down is a big one right now to use that money for. But you could also manipulate it in other ways as well. So you want to use whatever they have, use it strategically, put it in closing costs. You can put it there, put it in the rate buy down, put it in upgrades, toss it around in all areas. And I actually have a buyer who was given $13,000 in incentives, and they would have actually overpaid with the interest rate that they had. So we did end up using one of those pre-approvals as leverage. So they still got the $13,000 in incentives, but they got the better rate because they shopped around. And the big thing with shopping around is when you get your credit pulled for a mortgage, it's a soft pull for starters, and you have 45 days to where you can get your credit repulled. It's not gonna keep dinging you. So you can shop around with multiple lenders to essentially find the best interest rate to basically use against these builders. Now, the next thing that you wanna think about and consider is timing, because timing is everything. You're gonna get better deals, bigger discounts at like the end of a quarter or the end of their fiscal year because they have to meet their numbers. And there's even times like end of the month, they have to meet their numbers. So they're gonna be giving out more incentives, be willing to negotiate that much more. Because of course, there's gonna be, this is the price of the house, but they got a profit. They still have room to end up wiggling throughout there. Now, when they gotta hit their numbers, especially at the quarter or the end of the fiscal year, they're going to be putting out bigger incentives to bring in clientele. And some of the times that are the best is gonna be like the winter months, December, January. I know we're past that now, but that's typically when they're giving the biggest, especially in December, because Christmas, holidays, we're spending money already. A lot of people stop spending money during that time frame, and that's typically when builders will give their biggest discounts because they're just trying to get business rolling through. Now, the thing is like the dig date, they may be, a few months out, which is a good thing because you will end up paying more in like heating costs, things like that, if you have a build that's going in through the middle of winter. So really, if you plan building around wintertime, that December, January, your dig date might not be until spring. Some builders are 6, 7, 8 months out with their dig date. It just really depends on who you're going with. Others, it might only be a couple months out. Again, chain builders, they're a little bit quicker because they have more mass production of homes compared to the custom builders. So that timing truly is everything. Now, a big area that you could save a ton of money in is on the builder's spec homes. Now, this is setting aside custom builders because custom builders, they're not just gonna randomly build a house. This is gonna be your chain builders, Dries, Pulte, Kehov in this area. They're going to have their spec homes that they're gonna build. And what it is the builder just comes up with whatever options they're gonna put into it. The reps typically have a say in it for the model, some of the options, and it's not gonna be, fully decked out like the model is, but it's also not going to be base model. And the nice thing with the spec homes of why they have such huge deals on them is because they're sitting on it. It's costing them money. They're paying for, the electricity to be on and running. They're paying for it to sit there because it's built up, ready to go. So they're paying on this home. There's some builders that have like 2% difference fixed rate. So you may get, say it's 7% for an interest rate right now to buy an existing home, just throwing a number out there. You may end up getting like a 4.99 interest rate fixed 30 years on that spec home. Some of them automatically will give you a rate buy down without you putting money towards it. They just say, here's a 2-1 buy down. They have massive incentives. And I even know of one in particular that it was $30,000 in savings because of purchasing a spec home. And yes, you don't get to pick stuff out. However, they do a pretty good job of laying out the color scheme, laying out the house, picking the proper model. They normally go with a more popular model that's being chosen. And it's just a really quick way to save a ton of money by going with one of their specs. And that also leads me into leveraging their inventory that they have, because if they have multiple move-in ready homes, which is the spec homes that are just sitting in the development, they're gonna wanna get rid of those things, which gives you that much more negotiating power. So instead of just saying, oh, that's what it is, here we go, this is what we get, you could actually look for a price reduction, for instance. Sometimes, yes, the builders won't wanna budge and they'll kind of fight you, and that's okay, walk away. It's perfectly fine. And they might come back to you and change their mind. Because I've seen it multiple times where spec homes, and just recently, where spec homes dropped like $20,000. They had a price reduction because it's just sitting and it's not selling. They want to get rid of these. They don't want unsold homes just sitting in the development. So you can look for price reductions. You could ask them to negotiate like free upgrades that they did to it to bring money off, or for the appliances. What are the appliances that are in there? Can you get those possibly like knocked off of the price of the home? Which essentially it all comes down to that, price reduction kind of style, and you could really just negotiate the price itself. But you could also, if they don't have a rate buy down on it, get a rate buy down. Ask, try to get it. Negotiate for it. So even if they have a fixed rate of, say, a percent lower or 1.5% lower, try to get like a 2-1 buy down thrown in on top of it. The more inventory they have sitting in those developments, the better off you are going to be able to negotiate a price reduction or free upgrades, appliances, all that stuff. So pay attention to those. Don't sleep on the spec homes. There's nothing wrong with them. It's just you don't get to pick it, but it's a move-in ready house and they can save you tons of money. Now with building a new home, in case you didn't know, you can get a realtor like me to represent you through the process. And I know what you may be thinking, well, that's just an added cost. It's not. The builders already have factored into these prices agent commissions that they end up covering. They vary on what it is. So depending, you might have money out of pocket, possibly. I don't want to say that it's guaranteed, but for the most part, they cover our commission. Now, what can we do for you? Those incentives, the negotiating, we could handle all of that for you, because I had an instance where a client came to me after they sat with a builder and it was full price. That they ended up, basically saying like, oh, okay, we'll think about it. And then as I called and I dug a little bit deeper, I actually ended up saving them close to $18,000 because of the incentives and the negotiating that was in place. And it was simply because they weren't asking the right questions, and that's okay, because you don't necessarily know the right questions to ask. And you're going into it just thinking, which most people do. I used to be the same way until I got into the business. You're just thinking, okay, well, this is the price of this. This is what it costs. There's nothing I can do about it. And that's simply not the case. And the other good thing is, you already have a job of your own, a career of your own. You have a life of your own. You may have kids. This is my career. So what do? I check in on the homes. And actually, I got 15 years of past construction experience as an electrician. I've seen everything that comes with building a home. And I've shown up on the job sites, talking to the workers, seeing what they're doing, because sometimes, yes, they will cut corners. The other nice thing is I know county inspectors, they do not go through with a fine-tooth comb. Sometimes they haven't even gotten out of the vehicle. You gotta get your own home inspector, third party. You wanna do pre-drywall inspection, post-drywall inspection. There's gonna be at least 2 times you're gonna have your own home inspector come through and look at the house. I've seen some shady stuff done on purpose, and then I've seen some other stuff done where it was just, oh, we forgot, or we missed it because it was something that was not written down to fix, and it just gets lost throughout the whole process because it's a fast pace, especially with chain builders. They want quick turnaround. So that's something that, you know, I could be at the inspection with the inspector, so you don't have to take time off of work for that. Could be doing the check-ins, answering, like getting answers for the questions that you have instead of you dealing with life itself and work. So yes, you can have us represent you with the building process to take a lot of stress off of your shoulders, to take a lot off of your plate. Lastly, I just want to remind you a couple common mistakes to not overlook. One is that skipping your own home inspections through different phases of the build. Again, pre-drywall, post-drywall, bare minimum. The other one is not getting loan comparisons to help leverage and negotiate with the builders. And then the final one that I want to remind you of is like your landscaping, your appliances. Not all landscaping is included. Not all appliances are included. And now that I'm thinking about it, don't forget, the lots are not included with those base prices. You have to pick that out. So don't go into it expecting to pay whatever that sign says on the outside. Let me know in the comments down below, what is your biggest thing? Have you gone through the build process? If so, I want to hear about your experience. If not, and you're looking to end up going through this building process, or you're buying an existing home, selling, relocating, I have people just like you reaching out to me every single week. I'd love to help you out as well. Contact me directly here or go in the description below. Use one of the methods I have listed there. If you got any value from the video, smash the like button. It's greatly appreciated. If you haven't already, click subscribe. Turn notifications on so you can stay up to date on my future videos I got coming your way.